Okay, so first of all, who are you?
I'm John Combe.
And what do you drive, John?
I've got a 996 Carrera 2.
Okay. When did you first get attracted to Porsche?
Well, I've always loved Porsche as a kid. I had the posters on my wall and everything. But I always needed a sort of practical car. And then 5 years ago, I decided I could afford to have a second car, a sports car. So I bought my first Porsche, the one I've got now, 5 years ago.
And it's a 996, you say?
Carrera 2. Yeah.
Carrera 2. And you're at the track today. Here we are at Castle Combe.
Yep. Perfect weather for it.
Yeah, it's a bit damp.
Yeah.
Very damp. So why did you first decide to track your car?
I guess I always sort of had it in mind that when I got a sports car, I wanted to take it to its limits. So it seemed a natural sort of thing, get the car and then take it to the track.
And this is the question on everybody's lips normally when their first time out. How did you feel the first time you went out on track?
Well, I was pretty nervous. I didn't do it by half. So the very first time I went on the track was at the Nürburgring.
Oh, cool.
And that's a pretty scary place, you know. So I think if it had been somewhere like here at Castle Combe, it would have been a little bit less anxious about it. But
and why were you anxious? What's the fear? Because everybody, I know myself, there was a fear when I first went on the track. What was that fear?
I guess it's a couple of things. So firstly, you don't know what the limits of your car are because you can't explore them on the road. So you don't really know until you take it on the track, which is one of probably the main reasons why you go on track. And then I guess it's the unknown and it's the other users as well. You don't really know what that's going to be like, the other people on the track.
Bit of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, well, not just that. I mean, you look around here today, you can't see on the video, but there's all kinds of track exotica that's come on trailers. But the interesting thing is, it doesn't really matter once you're out there. You know?
And that's the key point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you could sum up your Porsche in one word, what would it be?
Tough. Love.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Okay, good afternoon. And we have here
Simon.
All right, Simon. So, Simon, we're here on track day with the Westcountry Porsche Drivers Club today, a wet one. First of all, what car are you driving today?
Driving a 911 Turbo 996.
996, 911 Turbo, okay. And what first attracted you to the car?
Pictures on the bedroom wall when I was a lad, obviously. It had to be a turbo with a whale tail.
Brilliant.
Haven't quite got the whale tail yet, but next time.
Next time, okay. Yeah. And track days. Now, everybody I speak to says, oh, you know, it's a bit frightening, it's a bit this. What was your first experience of a track day?
Just after I bought the car, Williams Crawford did a track day with Porsche GB. So it's a Porsche one that they bought tickets in. It's very relaxed. Porsche quite good. Obviously, they bring a mechanic. It's kind of relaxing, but yeah, first lap is a little bit out of your comfort zone if you haven't done it before. It's new, it's different. You're in a car that you've driven, obviously you think you've driven it well. And then you're throwing it down the road at 100 mile an hour and they're going, you need to brake and turn quickly. So yes, it becomes interesting.
And what was your biggest fear the first time you went out?
Binning it, obviously.
Binning it.
Yeah.
Simply binning it.
You spend all that money on it. It's like, if I lose it now, it's going to look really silly, isn't it?
Yeah. And did you have any nerves?
Not really. No, it's because I suppose having driven it a bit before we did the first track day, it's quite a capable car.
Yeah.
It's every car to every man. It doesn't excel specifically anything, just does everything really well.
Yeah.
So you can drive all the way up here from Cornwall. It's like 4.5 hours or more. You can beat it around every 6 hours and you have a nice little quiet drive home, and it just does it really well.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think that's one of the reasons we're doing this video, is simply you can drive.
It is kind of a grand tourer, really.
Yeah, perfect.
An everyday supercar.
And if you could sum up your Porsche in one word?
Gorgeous.
Brilliant. First of all, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Steve Hall.
And Steve, here at Castle Combe today, what are you driving?
I'm driving a Porsche 718 GT4 with a PDK gearbox.
Okay, a bit of a handful out there today?
Yes, with the tyres on that I've got, it is. But if you're sensible and you drive smoothly, you can just about get away with it.
Okay, and taking you back a little bit, when was your first track day? When did you do your first track day?
Probably when I was 21 years old, and I did an organised track day, had some tuition. I think it was Vauxhall Astra GTEs at the time at Donington Park. And I've loved it ever since. I've done some racing since, and I do track days now because it reminds me of the racing I used to do, and I like to keep a hand in.
Brilliant. And I suspect your answer is going to be different for everybody else, because the question I've been asking is, did you have any fear on your first track day?
Yeah, on the first one I was very nervous. My heart was racing, sweating, am I going to get the right line? But if you have tuition, I would recommend anyone, first thing you do is get someone to teach you the line. It's not about driving fast, it's just learning the line, and maybe even staying in one gear all the way around.
Okay.
First of all.
Maybe a good couple of tips in there. And the Porsche you've got today, how would you sum it up on the track?
It's very agile, direct. The feel you get, I've only had the car a few months. I've also got a Cayman R, which is fantastic, but you feel the aerodynamics with this newer car, and it's really confidence inspiring so far. It's just pity it's raining.
It is a pity it's raining, yeah. And did you drive it up, and are you going to drive it home?
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's a critical point to tell everybody. Everyone thinks you tow these things and you've got all this stuff.
No, it's raining. I'm going to be going out again, but again, if you're sensible, it's well organised. Marshals, everything's all the safety briefings, and no problem.
Brilliant.
It's not a problem.
And final question, or statement I'm looking for you for really, is what if you could sum up your Porsche in one word?
One word.
What would it be?
Extraordinary.
Fair enough. Brilliant. So here we are today, Castle Combe, and we have with us.
I'm Martin Josie. I run the Westcountry Porsche Drivers Club.
Great. So Martin is the man behind all the Facebook posts you used to see. And if you look in the top corner, although it says Westcountry Porsche Drivers Club, you can sometimes see Martin's name up the top, so you know when it's him. So Martin, you organised today's track day for the Westcountry Porsche Drivers Club.
Yes, that's right.
Do you remember your first?
I do, actually. It was back in 2017. I had a 986 Boxster S, and it was, am I allowed to say the words Porsche Club GB? It was one of their track days at the time.
Yeah, okay. And today you're driving what?
Correct. I am in a 996 Turbo, affectionately known as Penny.
And it is wet today, so how's it been? How's it been out there today?
Wet, it's very wet. The 996 Turbo is really quite stable in conditions like this because you have the advantage of the four-wheel drive. It's also quite a heavy car, but still a few sort of spots where it was a little bit hairy because there's a lot of water on there. Earlier on in the day when the rain wasn't quite so heavy, it was lightning quick, and still very, very quick actually. A lot of confidence in the car.
Excellent. And just touching back on what you said about your first track day in 2017, and possibly every time you go to track day, what was your biggest fear?
I think similar to everybody else, you've got the usual fears of am I going to crash? Am I going to do this? But I think once you get your head around the fact that you don't crash every time you drive on a public road, it's no different with the track. As long as you are sensible, you're okay. But I have to say, my first track day was here at Castle Combe, and I remember on my very first lap thinking those walls do feel awfully close. But if I can find some wood to touch, so far I have not actually left the track when doing a track day.
Brilliant. And finally, Martin, I'm asking everybody to sum up their Porsche in one word.
Oh, well, do you know what? We've been talking about this. I think that the 996 Turbo, it is definitely the jack of all trades and the master of nothing. If you can have one car that you want to be able to do grand touring, you want to be able to do track days, you want to be able to have real fun with it.
I said one word, Martin.
Sorry.
Give us one word. Give us one word.
Well, if it's one day, I suppose it's just got to be awesome.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you, Martin. Much appreciated.